Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Shakur Stevenson is fighting against Artem Harutyunyan this weekend, and it's a really, really good card. Surprisingly, it's one of the best cards that Top Rank has put on in a while. And they've done this a couple of times when it comes to Shakur Stevenson cards. So they have O'Shaquie Foster fighting against Robson Kasakiel in the co-main event. Keyshawn Davis is fighting on this card. He's fighting against Miguel Medueno. Miguel, he has a record of 31 wins and 28 knockouts. And he's never been knocked out before. He has 2 losses, but like I said, he's never been knocked out before. It would be really impressive if Keyshawn becomes the first one to knock him out. Another fight on this card would be William Foster versus Edrison Garcia. And then you have the brightest American prospect in Abdullah Mason. You know, Abdullah Mason is only 20 years old. And when I thought about him being 20 years old, I thought about Emilio Vargas. Because Emilio Vargas, he just fought last weekend, and he was talking about how, I'm just 20. He said, you got champions like Gervonta, who's like 29 years old. I'm only 20, so he's like basically saying he's taking his time because he's young. But Vargas's last opponent, he had 9 wins and 8 losses. And 2 fights before that, he was fighting a guy that was 10-8. Vargas, he almost has the same amount of fights as Mason has. So it's time for him to take the training wheels off and test himself the same way Mason is doing. And this is not about fighting against a young, undefeated fighter. It's just about stepping up in competition. Now, we know black fighters are often matched tougher in general. I mean, just look at Carmel Moulton. He's only 17 years old. He's fighting against undefeated fighters. And I'm talking about good undefeated fighters. You go back and you watch Carmel Moulton's last fight against Cuba, and you listen to the commentators. They're praising Cuba almost as much as they're praising Moulton. With that being said, once again, this is going to be a really good card. You also have Keyshawn Davis's brother fighting on this card as well, Kelvin Davis. So it's a really good card. And when it comes to the main event, with Shakur Stevenson fighting against Artem Harutyunyan, at first I thought that this was just an easy fight for Shakur Stevenson. But recently I went back and I watched the fight Frank Martin against Artem. Before, I thought it was just a bad performance by Frank Martin. Now when I go back and watch it, I realize Artem is a good fighter, and that's the reason why the Frank Martin fight was competitive. We actually asked Frank Martin who was the hardest puncher he's been in the ring with, amateur or a pro, sparring, etc., etc. And surprisingly, the first name he mentioned was Artem's name. Now keep in mind, this was the week of the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, but he had sparred with Gervonta, and he mentioned Artem's name first. He did mention Gervonta's name as well, but he included Artem's name, which lets you know that he's a really hard puncher. Not just a good boxer, but he also has power. So because of his boxing ability and he has power, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Shakur handles this situation. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited
and I believe
to
that this is going to be a tough
Colorado,
fight for Shakur Stevenson.
Can help anyone
if he makes it look easy, it's going to be very impressive because Artem is a good fighter.
This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues. So make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, the fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to LODeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.